Hi, and welcome to Facebook Live. It's Friday, November 22nd, and we have picked a topic that apparently has caused all sorts of commentary from you as a listener, not only on WWJ, but on the ticket, on WOMC, and it's the talk of the station as well. A comment made by this gentleman right here, First Lieutenant Mike Shaw, who you've seen many times, who has said, basically, you get behind the wheel, you're responsible.
Absolutely.
It isn't going to be the weather that's
Right.
going to be to blame. Okay, explain yourself, because there are going to be people who have been debating this, and you'll see some in the comments and so on. Thank you for the comments, and continue to. We want to make it interactive if you can. I'm sure going to try to use this as well, and we can just kind of keep looking at the comments and kind of roll through these as well. Try to read some of your comments on the air as well. So, okay, explain yourself.
Yep. So awesome. This is a great conversation to have as we kind of go through here, but not only through winter weather, but all the time. So be it rain or any other road conditions that go up there, it used to be old thought process. Oh, that was just an accident, and it could, let's not even worry about it. Well, the times have changed to where we know what's causing these crashes, and all you got to do is take a look in that rearview mirror. And it's the driver that's causing these crashes. You want to know when the roads are causing the crashes? It's when you can't go down it because we've closed it. That's when you actually know.
That's when you've made the decision.
That's when we made the roads.
Decision that weather is going to rule here. It's going to rule anyway, but this is now going to be.
Yes.
We're going to prevent any more problems.
Absolutely, we're going to prevent anything from happening. So that's when you know that the roads are too bad. Other than that, basically speed and following too closely is the two biggest causes of why people get involved in traffic crashes during any time. Even a day like today, well, I don't want to say a sunny day, but a day like today,
it's dry.
There's nothing really going on there, but there's guaranteed that during any time during this rush hour today that there will be crashes where somebody runs into the back car of anybody else's. Inexcusable. There's no reason to do it. And if you go into a ditch, I always tell people when I've written all these traffic crashes through my almost 25 years now of doing this job of, oh, the snow was bad and it caused me to go into the ditch. Well, what about all those other cars that are continuing to drive down the road that aren't in the ditch? What about the trooper that responded to your crash and didn't go into the ditch? The tow truck that came and pulled you out? So if you kind of look at it, those are thousands of people that just went through that same stretch of roadway that you did, and there's only one person that put it into the ditch. Mm-hmm. Who's at fault? Well, the thousands that just are better drivers than you, or the one person that put it in the ditch?
It appears to be an education process that we're talking about here, because first of all, I've had to change how I report the traffic now. Instead of saying an accident, you taught me a long time ago, and crash, but they've studied that because crash is saying, hey, basically it says you're at fault. The collision is part of you. An accident means you weren't at fault, and usually somebody is at fault.
Absolutely.
So that's the reason you're switching to crash, right?
Yes, and I think it was just a change in times. Back in the 50s and 60s, the Barney Fife days, we didn't want to blame anybody for anything. It's like, oh, it happened. We also, let drunk drivers go home and gave them a ride. Times change. People are dying on the roadways because people's driving behaviors out there. Mm-hmm. So there's always the big three that we talk about, and that's not even including the texting portion of it or driving under the influence. Again, it's the distractions. Right. It's the people that are driving too fast, and it's the people that are driving too close.
And those are the
three every day.
And when the weather is bad, those are the things you don't really want to do. You need to have a lot of extra space. So we're telling people leave early. A lot of extra space between you and the vehicle ahead. Here are some of the commentaries, as a matter of fact. Okay, let's go check out what's going on here. We'll close this tab right here and move that out of the way. I don't know if we can. There we go. Can we do that? I don't know if we can or not. Let's bring this out. Maybe we can see that instead. Okay. Well, here's Mike Kelly. He says this is from WOMC. He's correct. People need to slow the hell down. So thank you, Mike, if you're watching, and leave earlier when we have a snow event. Okay, that's a good one. Julian Liss is here, and I don't know if I can move that. There we go. Okay, Julian agrees with you. He is right as rain. Weather is not the fault. The fault is your own bad choices. Like who fixes your car? Some backyard mechanic or a licensed repair shop. Okay, well. Good reference, good idea that, hey, listen, you're the one who's handling the wheel. You live in Michigan, you need to learn to slow down and drive. How about going over here to the ticket? Because I think we've got a gentleman on here that is saying, hey, wait a minute.
My buddy Ken.
Yeah, Ken Turner.
Yes.
He said,
all right.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, so Ken, So I'm sure Ken has written thousands of traffic crashes reports, and he's been on the freeways working all these crashes before.
Right.
So Ken, being a top fan, I won't talk too bad about him. But yes, we are experts at this. This is what we do for a living.
Right.
And it's not about being right or wrong or what causes crash or whatever. Is people are dying on the roadways because we're making some simple mistakes. And that's not only just the public. We have troopers that are out there, law enforcement officers that are driving too fast when they're going to places. And we always tell them you can't help anybody if you're in the ditch as well. So you got to kind of do that as well. So I get Ken, and I get that he's upset and he's worried about sloped roadways. So what you got to do is when you're coming up on that sloped roadway, you should kind of ease off a little bit till you get to the stop sign, and then you come to the complete stop, and then you just ease on the gas and kind of go through that sloped roadway. It will keep you from spinning out. It will keep you from losing control of the car, and then you continue about your business. Slow is good.
Well, and they're basically saying here too, I know the taxpayers pay your salary, but some of these folks indicate that, hey, wait a minute, who's paying your salary,
Yes.
Lieutenant Shaw?
So,
I mean, come on,
it's you guys. I'll tell you, the taxpayer pays my salary, including me. I'm a taxpayer, so I'm paying myself as we go along. The salary is funded and subsidized by tickets. If we're going to talk about the BS, I guess, that Ken's talking about, that's the real one right there. That goes to a whole different part. It doesn't do anything. I don't get a dime from it. But I think it's also important to remember that even if you don't get a citation at some of these crashes, which, the trooper, it's their discretion. If you get a citation, doesn't matter. It's who's at fault in these crashes, and how can we change that driving behavior to make sure that you don't do it again. And that's the toughest part about it, is sometimes you'll come up to somebody and they'll be like, yeah, I shouldn't have been going that fast. I lost control, whatever. I don't need to give you a citation to change your behavior. You kind of already just did it yourself by what you did.
Yeah.
But other people, kind of like Ken, who's looking for an excuse and it can't be my fault. Well, now I have to do something different to change Ken's driving behavior to make sure that Ken doesn't hurt himself or somebody else, and that's our ultimate goal.
In general, does that happen? Have you had return events where you've talked to people and said, "No, wait a minute, we've done this before"?
You go up there, and then again, that's what the courts are for as well. Just because you get a citation doesn't mean that you're at fault or not at fault. It just means that the officer in question believes that you violated part of the motor vehicle code.
You could dispute it. I read. You
Absolutely.
Could go to court on that. Okay.
It's kind of tough to explain to a judge why you're the only one in the ditch, but hey, go ahead and give it a try.
Let's see. I tend to agree with him. This is from David Payakowski. However, I rolled my four-wheel drive Durango heading up north on I-75 a few years ago. The road was clear, no precipitation at all. Then I crested a small hill and found myself in what he refers to as a wind tunnel with almost zero visibility and snow-covered roads. My attempt to gradually clear the left lane caused me to lose control. I don't know what I could have done differently. What is your thinking on this?
Get out of the left lane. That's the first
That's
one.
the trooper lane. That's the trooper lane.
That's my lane.
Right? Yeah.
Yep. Stay out of that left lane when you're traveling.
So,
So now automatically you don't have to move over like that.
Right.
And you have to be prepared for things that happen to you as you're going along.
Right.
So if you know that the weather is clear, it's just not clear here, and all of a sudden snow comes from nowhere.
Well, some of the worst accidents have been where there's all of a sudden there's fog and people don't slow down,
Absolutely.
and then boom, you get these large chain reaction accidents. But especially in the whiteouts, right? The snow like on the west side of the state on I-94, we see those multi accidents, and then up by the Houghton Lake area in that curve on I-75, there have been a bunch of those.
Right.
Where that
but if you
snow
look
comes
at the
across.
videos and everything from those crashes, what you'll see there is you won't see the snow. You'll see the snow hitting the road, but what you'll see is the people that are driving too fast and driving too close to the car in front of them. And when that whiteout happens, all you got to do is take your foot off the brake. You keep your hands on the steering wheel and kind of slow down as you ride through it, and then once it's gone, you hit the gas again and away you go.
Okay.
There's
And you
so
should be anticipating this. So people are listening to all sorts of things in the car. They're also talking on phones. They're distracted. But you've got to pay attention to the upcoming road weather conditions. There are many apps to do that, I'm thinking you could do, but you're listening to the radio. Not that we'd love to listen to WWJ, love to listen to the ticket and OMC, but you've got to pay attention to the weather.
Right.
If you're going to go on distant drives, you've got to pay attention and be prepared for things like that, I think. A lot of people don't know how to do that. They just think, well, I'll get in the car, I'm going to go.
And we see the same things even on a normal summer day where nothing's happening. We're still having people that lose control because they're going too fast. We still have people that are rear-ending each other because they're following too closely.
Right.
We still have those same events, but when you add a little bit of snow to it or a little bit of rain, it just amplifies everything that you're doing
Adds to
wrong in the beginning. It just makes it 100 times worse.
Right,
So
right.
that's one thing you have to go is, and again, we're not trying to blame anybody or all that kind of stuff. We're just trying to save some lives out there
Right.
is our basic thing.
Let me go
And
back
if we
here.
can talk about it, then Chrissy just does not want to go away.
I'm sorry, I probably-
she's staring over my shoulder like the
I
boss.
think that was my fault that I did that. I tapped it twice. So we'll just go right back to the ticket. But we had many comments, hundreds of comments from you too, so I could read some more here. There are days here when it goes from perfectly clear, as you said, to whiteout conditions in a matter of miles. You must use discretion when making unnecessary trips as well. Kenneth Raymond, while weather might make your operating machine more difficult, the operator of that machine is the responsibility, the responsibility of the driver.
Absolutely.
Okay, very good. And let's go. Here we are. We're back. Thank you so much. Here we are. Weather is never the cause. It can be a contributing factor, but never the cause. How do you answer that? That's a good point.
It is never the cause. You can say that, well, it was snowing out there or a whiteout came along, but there's something that happened to that one person that ended up causing them to crash. Because it didn't happen to anybody else.
Right.
It happened just to that one person. And usually if it goes out there, rain is another indicator where people think, well, it's not snow, so it's just rain. I can still go the speed limit. I can go faster than the speed limit. And, if I happen to wipe out for some reason, well, that's not really my fault anyways. Okay. So, you can say that it was raining out and you're going too fast,
right,
and you're following too closely, and you weren't paying attention.
Those are the things that you're going to write on the ticket
Yep.
in an accident
Absolutely.
investigation.
Yep.
So you're writing all the contributing factors.
Absolutely.
So those are the basic contributing factors.
Right.
Conditions,
Yep. Right.
Driving too close, driving too fast, distracted. What are some of the other ones that are situated? I mean, if there's a mechanical problem and you lose control of your car, is it still your fault?
Now that's different.
Yeah.
Because that's a whole different thing. But it's
Okay,
not
is that-
weather. So
you're right.
When you
Okay.
kind of get people that.
But it could
kinda
happen in
say-
bad weather. Of
Right,
course,
yep. But how many
splitting hairs here.
mechanical things
Yeah,
actually
right.
happen? And
Yeah.
let's see. I'm trying to think now.
I'm thinking
'cause
losing a tie rod,
Yeah,
on a
I'm
front-
getting a little
on a front
older
end.
now. In my
Yeah.
24, 25 years, I think I've run across maybe 2 mechanical instances that caused a crash. I mean, they're just not out there as common.
Yeah. Cars are a lot better made.
A lot
aren't they?
better built than
yeah,
they were.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, here's one from John Hinchcliffe. What's the difference between 2 skates and 4 skates? Nothing. As an ex-tow truck driver, and these are the people we can learn from: tow truck
Right.
drivers, EMTs, people who are driving the rigs. I can tell you firsthand, I pulled out more people in 4x4s than regular cars out of the ditch. Can count how many times I was told, but I had 4-wheel drive. Slow down, people. Right. Is that what you hear a lot
Absolutely. And everybody sees it. Our good friends in the pickups and the SUVs, when it starts to snow outside, we kind of tell them, 4-wheel drive just turns into 4-wheel slide. Right. You still end up putting it into the ditch because it doesn't matter what it does. If you hit a certain spot and you're going too fast, you're just going to lose control of your vehicle regardless of what you have. So the biggest answer, no matter if you're driving a Pinto or the biggest Escalade out there.
You dated yourself.
Yes,
a
yeah,
Pinto.
it's pretty simple. Snow equals slow. I mean, that's something to always remember. And if and there's people out there that you just can't drive in bad weather, and there's folks out there that you should know if you can or not, then pick another day to go out.
Right.
Watch the weather report. If you know that there's 4 to 6 inches of snow coming, go buy milk the day before so you don't have to go out there and do it again.
Right.
That also allows the road crews to come out there and
Well, that's
clean
what
up everything.
I wanted
and
to
all
make
that
sure we
stuff.
point that out
So-
because I remember you keep us or you're always sending out messages and you'll see this and we try to mention it on the air as often as possible. I'm sure the folks at OMC and the Ticket and the other stations do as well. But we're trying to say, we've heard from First Lieutenant Mike Shaw. He said, snowing, slow down, pay attention to what you're doing, give yourself extra time. But the other thing you've said a number of times is, okay, the weather's that bad. First of all, you're not going to drive. You're not going to work probably, but schools are closed. Let the first responders and the tow trucks get out there and do their job. And that helps. And then you can get back on the road, right? But a lot of people think they have to go somewhere. They want to go somewhere. They want to get out. If you're going to do that, then you got to leave far enough in advance to do that. I
Right.
think. So,
and then know
I'm
what
not-
you're getting
yeah.
into is the biggest thing is, you can't just jump in the car and not know what you're getting into. So
Right.
figure it out. And for us, the biggest one, so the snow that we had that surprised everybody and took care of all the leaves until now when it's
Yeah.
all melted away. that wasn't our biggest amount of crashes. It was the little bit of a half an inch to an inch that we got the week before that actually caused more crashes because people went out there and said, oh, it's no big deal. It's just a little tiny bit of snow. I'm just going to continue my driving behavior like it was that I was driving in July. And then
driving on grease, right? Basically,
absolutely. So it makes it actually worse.
Yeah. Okay. Janice, it can be with black ice, treacherous conditions, or sudden whiteout, or hard rain squalls, but I have driven in them, always made it home by driving slow and smart. So very good, Janice. Absolutely. That's outstanding. So we get a lot of comments. What else? How about John Messina?
John wants a day off by me. And that's fine. If it works for his boss, John can tell him that if the roads are bad and he's not a very good driver, he can stay home.
Right, absolutely. Let's see, maybe we can get another couple of comments in here. Chris Hartman, true in most cases, exception, encountering a sudden without warning. Again, going back to this situation where something suddenly happens, a flurry of snow across the roadway, and you're now surrounded by other vehicles that are not paying attention at the same time.
So, Chris, absolutely there's something you could do. As you kind of go along through there, you know that those road conditions are like that. Right. So you're going to automatically increase your following distance between the cars in front of you. So when that snow squall does come, all you have to do is take your foot off the brake and allow your car to naturally start to slow down before it happens, and that keeps you from getting in that crash. Usually what happens when you have a lot of snow out there is people are going too fast, they take their foot right off the gas and they slam on that brake, and what's that do? That causes you to lose control of your car, slide on the snow and run into the person in front of you because you were too close.
Yeah. How about suggestion? What are we talking about too close? What do you have to gauge it based on the speed, but what do you use as a factor?
So I think everybody remember the old school rule. It used to be 1 car length for every 10 miles an hour.
Right.
When you're looking at weather, you should probably double it just to make sure that you can safely stop your car in front of you. Now, the biggest thing that I get after that is, well, if I leave that much room, somebody's going to cut in front of me. Well, this isn't a NASCAR race. This isn't anything that you're not rubbing and racing. You're doing all kinds of stuff to get to where you want to go. Just slow down. If people would just slow down and open up that driving distance, our crashes down here on a daily basis would probably drop by 50%.
Well, Rob's got some comments from our viewers and listeners. Thank you.
Just a Facebook, Michael Magnuson says, just drive to the conditions of the road or just don't drive at all.
Well, thanks, Michael. Appreciate it. Yeah, that's a good point. But you're twice the distance for the speed when the weather conditions are bad. So you're talking like a good distance. If somebody jumps in front of you, then just keep backing off, right?
Right. Just back off and let them go.
Absolutely. Okay, I'll see if there are any more.
Dennis, I like Matthew's comment.
Okay, right here. Lack of vehicle
maintenance.
Okay. Following too closely, driver error. Lieutenant,
and that's something that we want to talk about a little bit too with vehicle maintenance.
Thanks, Matthew.
Is make sure that you are ready. Check your tires. If you can get snow tires, use them. At least make sure they have a tread on them.
Right.
Make sure that your windshield wipers. I think that's the biggest thing is we all wait on because windshield wipers are kind of a pain to put on now because you got to kind of loop them around and do all this stuff. So we kind of push that off. Well, it makes it worse when you can't see through your windshield and the snow is coming. Right. So make sure that your windshield's working.
How about during an oil change? Change the windshield wipers.
Absolutely.
I think that's a really good way of doing it.
Let them do it.
Another comment from our viewers and listeners.
Cameron Lafrini.
Hi, Cameron. Thanks for.
Driver needs to stay out of the left lane that covered in snow while 2 other lanes are clear. It causes accidents and spin-outs of other drivers in the center lane.
That catches them. Catches the snow coming off on the shoulders. People actually get on the shoulders and lose control.
And that's rain as well. If you think about it, most of the puddling on the roadways are going to come either in the right lane or the left lane. So if you're kind of riding in a snow event or in a rain event, if you stay in that middle lane, usually that's the best way because you got people coming onto the freeway or there's people, as they're exit or turning at intersection, they're going to try to get into that right lane, and that's kind of where everything kind of puddles along.
Okay.
So.
Oh, looks like we lost it. Okay. Here's a good question. Can you get a fine for having? I saw your tweet the other day that the car sitting there and it was like 2 feet of snow on top of the car. Can you get a fine for that? Can you be?
Yes. So Michigan Vehicle Code says that if you deposit snow onto the roadway, that it's actually a fine. It's a civil infraction.
Yeah.
I can tell you, I have never written anybody a ticket for that. I have stopped people. If it's to the extreme point where they're just constantly blowing snow, or somebody's got the little 3x5 card cut out of the windshield and they're trying to drive it, I will stop them and we'll discuss why that's a good idea. I might even break out the scraper and help them clean it off just to kind of send them on their way. But technically, yes, that is a violation of the Motor Vehicle Code not to clean off your car.
Yeah, and I
especially if it causes a crash.
A friend of mine who was a young man when I was growing up who almost got killed by trying to cross Telegraph Road by not being able to see out of his vehicle, and he pulled in front of a truck. And he, to this day, he struggles with a lot of things. So you've got to pay attention to those kind of things when the conditions warrant it. Clear your windows. But when you got a lot of snow on top of the car, it's not easy to do unless you have a
little push broom. You can knock it off. I mean, we kind of do that stuff. And
they don't have that at the store though. If you're stuck in the store, so you got to plan for these things.
You got to plan for these events.
Okay, can you get a fine for having snow covering your license plate? This has been a debatable. Rob and I have talked about it. Lloyd, we've been wondering about this question.
So Michigan Vehicle Code requires that the license plate be totally visible at all times. So when you're kind of brushing off all the other snow on your car, just brush off the plate, brush off the lights, brush off the headlights, kind of do all that kind of stuff. Make sure that plate is visible.
Oh, that's right. It was a federal fine.
It's not a federal fine, no. It's a state law.
No, but you need to be able to see the license
Feds don't
number.
really have any type of motor vehicle code except for motor carrier rules.
Right.
So it may be for like a semi-truck, things like that, but for a passenger car, that's state jurisdiction.
And you can say that, well, the state police used to drive those old two-wheel drive vehicles, but you now have changed. The state police are now driving.
So all of our Chargers are all-wheel drives, and then our Tahoes and some of our Explorers are all four-wheel drives. And when you get up north, up to the UP, they're actually driving Jeeps and snowmobiles.
Are they really?
All,
are they chained up there too? Are they putting chains on?
They're not putting chains on.
Can you do that at all on the roads?
So chains are not legal in Michigan.
Okay. Used to be the studded tires. Remember years ago they'd have but that's not allowed either.
No, we got enough potholes out there.
You're right. Okay, Rob, another comment from one of our viewers. Okay.
Keith Miller on Facebook.
Okay, Keith.
He's just agreeing with Shaw here. It's the drivers, not the weather, and the cell phones.
Okay, all right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Drop the cell phones. Keep doing that. You know, but have them charged. So if you have to call an emergency, I mean that's important. Or call for somebody else. Call 911 first. We love when you call, WWJ 248-4236 WWJ, and also follow us on Twitter. But the first call's got to be 911. Help somebody out, especially on these cold days. Okay, if you see if there's any other get some other comments. Okay, how about Keith Raymond? What does he say down here? While weather might make operating your machine more difficult, the operator of that machine is the one responsible for the operation. Four-wheel drive does not mean you stop faster. Learn this. Well, that's a good point too. How about Sam Tennant? Good to know you don't need to understand what wind and ice are in order to become. Oh, I don't think that was a comment right there, a complimentary comment. I understand. I see what he's trying to get across here. But
is that my fan Sam?
Yeah, that's your friend Sam.
Good to know you don't need to understand what wind and ice is. Sam, slow down. You need to understand how to drive, and then we can talk about it.
Put the right emoji at the end.
Yeah, that's that what it is? Okay, good.
But I'm good with Sam.
Okay. Janice, it can be with black ice, treacherous conditions, or sudden whiteout or hard rain squalls, but I have driven all of them and always made it home by driving slow and smart. See, that makes a lot of sense.
Slow's the answer.
Janice Fibbits, that's fantastic. I once crashed into a curb going 5 miles per hour because of accumulated ice around a driveway. I'm quite sure I wasn't exceeding the conditions when a company decided not to plow their parking lot or driveway. But you have to make the decision whether to go in that lot or the driveway, right? I'm not
so
trying
for
to excuse
Stephen,
them.
yes, you were going too fast for road conditions because you crashed into the curb.
There you go. Okay.
Nobody else did but Stephen.
Okay, let's see if there's any other ones on here. How about we go over to 97.1 The Ticket and get a couple
These
more
are the
from
guys
that.
that really like me over here on this one.
Here we almost really see we're down to the bottom here. Can we get any more on here if we wanted to? No, let's go over here to the OMC and grab OMC and see what kind of comment. These are usually nice to you over here.
Yes.
Black ice can get anybody. I believe. Here's Lorraine Robbins. I believe that thinking that you have to be in control of your car no matter what the weather. Theoretically, though, if you're driving very slow and taking all precautions and still have an accident, then I would say that it is the weather. I mean,
So again,
that's a good
if
point.
you're driving very slow, you should drive slower if you get in a crash. There's just no reason to get in a crash. And I think that's the point that we're trying to tell people is everybody else has driven past where you crashed and they haven't crashed. The law enforcement has responded, EMS, tow trucks, you name it. They've all driven past this area and there's only one car in the ditch. How do all those other people driving in the same weather conditions end up not in the ditch, but you do? And it's hard. It's hard for anybody in Michigan to say, I made a mistake driving in the wintertime, because we're all from Michigan. We're all supposed to be good drivers. but sometimes we make mistakes, and that's the biggest thing that we're trying to talk about through anything. It's not, right or wrong, or am I right, or, somebody's been driving for years and years and years, and they think that they're right. All we want to do is stop people from getting in unnecessary crashes, because in these crashes, a lot of times it's just somebody going into the ditch. It's a little fender bender. It's a couple $100 out of your pocket to get the tow truck, and it's not a big deal. But we also have these type of crashes where people are dying.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing that we want to
I
remember.
can imagine you don't want to go to somebody's house or call on somebody's phone and say, I have to have you come down to the...
And then you don't even want to think about that,
No.
because if you're the person
Yeah.
that causes that crash that somebody died in just because you're going too fast or you're running late or whatever, there's nothing that I'm going to do to you that's going to be worse. That's what's going to be on your mind for your rest of your life.
Yeah.
Taking somebody else's life for something that I was 10 minutes late for the Lions game.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you've been the voice of reason, as you always are. You got everybody going a number of months ago when we got into that zipper lane at construction zones, and it's just kind of evolved from that to the comment you made the other day, the snow doesn't get behind the wheel. This is the line here, slow doesn't jump behind the wheel. I think you put that on your tweet. So thank you very much. Thank you, First Lieutenant Mike Shaw, who is kind enough to come in on his busy day and help educate us on as to what we should be doing in conditions. Pay attention to this and give you a chance to get through the wintertime, maybe enjoy it a little bit better and get home to your family or get to work safely every day. So thank you. Stay safe. Thank you very much. We're sorry for the loss that occurred recently in your ranks too. That we're very, very sad about that. So thank you for looking in on Facebook Live, 248-4236 WWJ, Twitter. But you also see that other stations have dropped in their comments too. We're so proud of everybody here at Entercom, so proud of WWJ. Listen, that's a good way to get the conditions, get the traffic information so you can get ready for the day. And if the schools are closed or you can't get to work because the snow is that bad, then stay home. Let the tow trucks get in. Yeah, okay, we'll blame Mike Shaw. We'll see you next time on Facebook Live. We hope you join us again. Thank you so much for being a part of our day as always. And thank you, First Lieutenant Mike Shaw, for being a part of our day today as well. Take care. We'll see you soon.